What if I told you that the opening riff of one of the 90s most iconic songs, Nirvana's Come As You Are, has a secret history? We're talking about a story that pulls in two other legendary bands and sparks a full-on decade of controversy. To get the whole picture, we have to start with the hit everyone knows, and then rewind to uncover a hidden family tree of the sound that connects the peak of the grunge revolution to the dark, churning heart of post-punk. The year is 1992. The world of rock music has just been changed forever. A few months earlier, Nirvana, a trio from Aberdeen, Washington, dropped their second album, Nevermind. Its first single, Smells Like Teen Spirit, was a cultural atom bomb, an anthem that stormed the charts and dragged alternative rock kicking and screaming into the mainstream. The pressure was on for a follow-up. The band had to choose between the explosive In Bloom and a moodier, more hypnotic track called Come As You Are. The band's management pushed hard for Come As You Are because they saw its massive commercial potential. And boy, were they right. From the second it hit the airwaves, that opening riff was instantly unforgettable. The sound, a woozy, watery guitar line drenched in a chorus effect.
Boing 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 boing.
The song was a monster hit, peaking at number 32 on the Billboard Hot 100 and cementing Nirvana's place as the most important band on the planet. That simple, descending, chromatic riff became a rite of passage for countless aspiring guitarists. It was the sound of a new era. But even as the song was climbing the charts, a little shadow of controversy started to form. Inside the band's own camp, people were getting nervous. Frontman Kurt Cobain himself was repeatedly anxious about releasing Come As You Are as a single. Why? Because he knew that iconic riff sounded just a little too familiar. And the band he was worried about wasn't some obscure garage act. It was a pioneering, influential, and famously intense British post-punk band, a band called Killing Joke. To really get this conflict, we need to jump back 8 years before Nevermind to the 80s, which is funny because the track is called the 80s. We're going back to 1984. The Cold War is raging. Thatcher and Reagan are in charge, and the music scene is buzzing with that anxiety. Over in London, an iconic goth rock band called Killing Joke unleashes a single called 80s. It's a blistering track driven by an industrial beat and the apocalyptic snarl of their frontman, Jazz Coleman. And then there's the riff. Listen to 80s, and the similarity is just impossible to ignore. It's the same melodic shape, the same progression of notes. Killing Joke's version is faster, more aggressive, and played in a raw, metallic snarl. But the core musical DNA is undeniably there.
It's much gothier.
Yeah, it's dancier.
Dance goth.
It's dancey goth. Nirvana's riff is basically a slowed down underwater version of what Killing Joke did. So when Come As You Are became a global sensation, Killing Joke were, to put it mildly, not thrilled. Guitarist Geordie Walker said publicly that the band was very pissed off about that, calling the similarity obvious to everyone. According to Walker, they even had reports from two separate musicologists confirming the plagiarism. The band's publisher sent a letter to Nirvana only to get a dismissive reply, laughably claiming Nirvana had never even heard of them. This was a special kind of insult because Killing Joke claimed they had a Christmas card from Nirvana sent years before.
Yeah, Nirvana had good taste in music.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to pretend like they're NPC fucking normies.
They're just like, no, man.
What are you talking about? We like Celine Dion and Brian fucking Adams. What do you mean?
No, you don't.
And Don Henley and the Eagles and shit.
Rumors of a lawsuit started flying around. Some reports say a suit was filed but got dropped after Kurt Cobain's tragic death in 1994. Others claim it never even got that far for personal and financial reasons. Whatever happened legally, the court of public opinion was in session. For many, this looked like a clear case of a massive band ripping off a riff from a less famous but hugely respected predecessor. Nirvana had built their sound on punk and alternative influences, and this seemed to be the smoking gun, a direct line to one of their musical ancestors. But the story doesn't end there. Just when the case against Nirvana seemed open and shut, the plot thickened. As it turns out, Killing Joke might have had their own skeletons in the closet. The year is now 1982. The UK post-punk scene is a hotbed of creativity, and one of the original godfathers of British punk, The Damned, love The Damned, have just released their album Strawberries. By this point, The Damned had moved way beyond their early three-chord fury, mixing in bits of goth and psychedelia. And buried on that album is a track called Life Goes On. And when you're listening to the opening of Life Goes On, you hear it. There it is again. The riff. Played on a bass guitar and with a different rhythm, it's not quite as direct a match as the one between Nirvana and Killing Joke. And since it was released 2 years before 80s, it predates Killing Joke's version.
So the Damned version came out in 78?
82.
Oh, 82. Okay.
2 years.
So Damned is 82, Killing Joke is
84.
84, 85.
And then
Nirvana is 91.
Yeah. So they thought that, they thought that the body was dead long enough, right? The corpse had been been rotting long enough in the dirt, nobody would recognize the riff they're stealing.
I'm curious if the members of Killing Joke had heard
The Damned?
The Damned the Damned song.
Oh, of course.
So they heard it and then they made their own version?
Yeah, they
And
made a
then they're
dancey version.
And then they're getting pissy that Nirvana kind of half ripped
because
them off.
Well, here's the thing: is Nirvana is the one who's made the most success out of it, correct?
Yeah,
that's the issue.
But they also didn't know they were going to be a success before they made Nevermind. I mean, they
didn't know
they weren't a platinum selling band.
I don't think anybody cared previous to. The intentions may have been pure, but I think Killing Joke wanted money. I think it was less about the game of telephone. This happens in comedy all the time. This happens in all forms of art, right? You see a piece of art, you hear a piece of music, you're inspired. Now, sometimes, if you're a bit of a bird brain, you start mimicking unbeknownst to you. And I think that's kind of what happens. It becomes a game of telephone. I don't think it's necessarily intentional.
Who's the bird brain in this situation?
I think Killing Joke is the bird brain.
They're being bird brains?
They're being the bird brains here. Because it's a 2-year difference. Suddenly, Killing Joke's claim to being the original wronged party looks a lot less solid. If Nirvana borrowed from them, did they just borrow it from the Damned first? For their part, members of Killing Joke have said they didn't know about Life Goes On, suggesting it could be a parallel thinking, or maybe an influence they weren't aware of. But the similarity is there, a crucial link in the chain of musical inheritance.
Do you believe them? Or do you think they're
I think
liars?
they're full of shit.
Full of shit?
Full of caca. The Damned's publisher was even asked to investigate at the time, though nothing ever came of it. It's almost a perfect example of what Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin once said: in this game, they only catch you if you're successful. Nirvana was a global phenomenon, which made them a huge target. Killing Joke were influential, but they weren't superstars. And the Damned, while legendary, were even further from the pop chart. This 3-way triangle between the Damned, Killing Joke, and Nirvana shows a fascinating musical lineage. A single melodic idea passed down and reshaped through the sounds of post-punk, industrial, and finally grunge.
By the way, I love the Killing Joke song 80s.
I love it too. It's a great song.
It's fantastic.
It's a great song.
It's a great song.
The controversy around the riff never totally vanished, but the anger eventually did. In a surprising and honestly pretty wholesome end to the story, the connection between Nirvana and Killing Joke was finally sealed. Not in a courtroom, but in a recording studio. In 2003, Dave Grohl, Nirvana's former drummer, and the frontman of Foo Fighters, took a break from his own band to play drums on Killing Joke's self-titled comeback album, and he did it for free. This move was seen by many as a symbolic peace offering, a gesture of respect from one of Nirvana's own to a band that had so clearly influenced them. The Foo Fighters had even covered Killing Joke's song Requiem before, so the admiration was already there. The collaboration was a powerful nod to Killing Joke's legacy and seemed to bury the hatchet for good. Killing Joke's bassist Paul Raven later confirmed he and Grohl just laughed about the whole thing. Laughed all the way to the bank. This peaceful ending really highlights that blurry line between theft and tribute, appropriation and appreciation, influence and plagiarism. While Killing Joke even admitted to being influenced by another, much earlier track, the Equals 1966 song Baby Come Back for the 80s riff, the whole saga proves that musical ideas are rarely born in a vacuum. They're part of a conversation passed between artists, mutating and evolving with each new interpretation. The riff from Come As You Are wasn't just stolen or borrowed, it was inherited. It carried the DNA of British punk from the Damned and the industrial rage of Killing Joke. Then it was filtered through Kurt Cobain's unique lens of pop melody and punk alienation, creating something totally new in the process. So what's the final verdict on rock's most controversial riff? Is it a story of theft, or is it a testament to the power of influence? The answer, just like the riff itself, is complicated. There's no doubt that the riff in Come As You Are is nearly identical to the one in 80s. It's also clear that a similar idea popped up 2 years earlier in a song by the Damned. This chain doesn't necessarily mean there was malicious theft at every step. Instead, it shows us how music scenes really work. A great idea gets into the water, and different artists end up drinking from the same stream. The Damned created a melodic shape. Killing Joke cranked it up with speed and anger, and Nirvana submerged it in chorus-drenched melancholy and shared it with the entire world. The journey of this one riff across a decade and through 3 legendary bands is more than just a controversy. It's a secret history of alternative rock. It tells the story of how the anger of post-punk helped fuel the angst of grunge, and how a single musical idea can become a flashpoint for arguments about originality, inspiration, and the very nature of creation itself. After hearing the evidence, where do you draw the line between influence and plagiarism? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Hidden Histories, presented by the High Epic Times.